Hello and welcome to the bonus video in the Machine Quilting with Rulers Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along. I'm Angela Walters, and in this video tutorial I'm going to give you some design ideas for quilting borders with your rulers. Throughout the last 6 videos in this challenge we've seen a lot of different rulers and a lot of different designs, and we've even seen a few border designs. Whether you use Taj to create an intricate border or quilt motifs, we've seen how you can use a cutout ruler to create a design that goes around a border. We've talked about quilting starbursts that turn the corner on our borders, or even some cute scallops that create a beautiful design. Another option for those larger borders is to use your cutout ruler to create a design that weaves around the area, then fill around it with a different filler to really make it pop. This is a great way to add a secondary design to the quilting. But in this video, I'm going to give you a few more ideas. When it comes to quilting the borders of my quilt, I want to be able to quilt that design in sections. I don't want a design that runs continuously. That makes it easier to work my way along the border, whether I'm on my sewing machine or my long arm. That means I could quilt the whole border if I want, or just quilt a portion, move into the center of the quilt, and continue on. If you're quilting a wide border, or maybe a border of busy fabrics, one simple yet classic border design is the piano key design. Now, when quilting piano keys, you can decide how close or how far apart you want those lines. It really depends on how dense you want the quilting, how much time you have to quilt, or how much you love the person you're quilting it for. I'm just using the reference line on my ruler to keep it somewhat straight. I'm also changing up the spacing between the lines. I'm quilting one closer and then one further, one closer and then one further. I just like how it gives it a little bit of a different look. Now, turning the corner with this design is really easy. Basically, I'm just going to get to the inner corner and quilt something completely different in that corner. Here, I'm just echoing 2 sides of that block using the same spacing that I did in the border. However, you could put something completely different in here. A geometric dot-to-dot design or even an all-over filler would look really good. Once that border corner is filled in, I'm going to start working my way down the side of the quilt. This design just shows that quilting doesn't have to be difficult to be impactful. I also love to use this design in quilts with multiple borders. Using it in the inner border will allow me to transition in between the outer border and the center of the quilt, making the quilting just a little bit more efficient. You can also change up the direction of your lines to create a different piano key design. Here I'm quilting a group of lines vertically and the next group horizontally and repeating. Not only is it good practice for quilting both directions, but it just creates a different look for your quilt. If you happen to be working with a pieced border or a border with blocks in it, echoing is a great way to highlight it. And that's something we've talked about a lot throughout these Free Motion Challenge quilting alongs. But in this example, I'm going to use curved lines to echo those blocks. And just like we've learned earlier in the challenge, we don't have to use the whole ruler. So even though these blocks are different sizes and they're a little bit smaller than my Shelly ruler, I'm still going to make it work. So I'm repositioning the ruler so that I have a 1/4 of an inch spacing in between the bottom of that block and my ruler. So I'm going to move and find the best placement for it before I start quilting. Just as we've seen in all the previous videos, I don't have to use the whole ruler. I can change it up and make it fit all kinds of spaces. And I can keep adding echo lines if I really want to show off that block. Inside the blocks, we could quilt some partial motifs using our Taj ruler or our Archie ruler or even one of our arc rulers. Anything that has a curve will work perfect. Now, what I love about this kind of motif, I can quickly and easily move from one block to the next. I'm just quilting a curved line that goes from corner to corner to corner, ending on the opposite side from which I started. Once I'm done with the blocks and the echoing, if I want, I can add some more filler around the outside. It really just depends on the look that I'm going for. I love how it adds a curvy look to those geometric blocks. In week 6, we learned how to quilt clamshells in sections and fill in around it. And it's a great way to deal with bigger areas, but it's also a neat design for borders. Here I've quilted some clamshells around the border corner, and I'm going to fill in the rest of the space with wavy lines. You might find this easier than doing it as an all over, since borders tend to be smaller than the quilts. It's also a great way to practice without committing to quilting a bunch of those clamshells. Okay, now it's your turn. If you're quilting along with me on the optional borders for the challenge panel, go ahead and fill them in with the design of your choice. You could use curved echoing to separate those blocks. You can use your straight edge ruler to create those piano keys. You could quilt some clamshells in sections and fill it around it, or use one of the other border designs that we've learned throughout this challenge. Don't forget, I have a downloadable tip sheet that has pictures and examples of all the designs we've learned. To celebrate the end of the challenge, I've designed a custom label for your quilt. You can find the details about the quilting diagrams and the products or the label in the description box below. Now, if you've liked this video or any of the videos in the challenge, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up or leave a comment telling me what your favorite part was. Now, while this is the end of this free motion challenge, I will be back soon with new episodes of the Midnight Quilter, as well as a new free motion challenge quilting along starting early next year. Until then, happy quilting.